Steve, Kerr, NBC Sports Bay Area. What does it say about your team's ability to work together and learn that on the night of Steph Curry's worst shooting performance in his career, this game was still a win?
I think what it says, Gareth, is we've become a good defensive team. Toronto is one of the toughest teams in the league to guard. They scored 144 2 nights ago in Sacramento. We held them to 105 points. So I'm really proud of the group. Over the last 10 days or so, they've established that they're going to be an excellent defensive team, and we can still get better. And I liked tonight. I mean, the result couldn't have been any better in terms of winning, but learning a lot of valuable lessons. They really took it to us in the fourth. We didn't handle their pressure very well. We didn't execute very well. And those are all things that now we have on tape to see, where we can make some improvements, and yet we were still able to come away with the win. So it was a scary one, but we feel good about walking out of here with a win against a championship caliber team. I mean, we know these guys, and they've been there before. They're tough. Don't pay attention to their record. That's going to be a good team in the East.
How specifically is Andrew Wiggins contributing to you guys being a good defensive team?
Just using his length and his athleticism and his anticipation. And, as I've told you guys many times, we now have someone we can put on the opposing team's best player. Whether it's Pascal Siakam or LeBron or Kawhi or Paul George, the ability to put Andrew on those types of players, to use his size and athleticism, it's really the key to our current roster construction. We didn't have that ability last year. Now we've got the ability to guard on the perimeter and guard those wings, so we can be good defensively. We can be a good team.
Did you put
Wes, go ahead.
Yeah, did you end up putting Wiggins on Kyle Lowry at one point in the fourth quarter, or did he just sort of end up on Kyle based on just rotation?
No, we put him on him a couple times during the game. We tried to move the matchups around a little bit, but that's the beauty of Andrew, and also Kelly. Kelly spent most of the night on Lowry and Van Vliet guarding the smaller guys. But the addition of Wiggs and Kelly has changed everything for us defensively. It's allowed us to compete every night at that end, and if you can't do that, you can't win in this league.
Steve, obviously, an abnormal shooting night for Steph tonight. But when you look at how he looks, the scratches on his arms, the blood on his jersey, right? A lot of teams are applying a lot of physical force on him. How much has that had to do, or how much did that have to do with his, shooting woes tonight, you think?
Well, I thought Toronto did a fantastic job on Steph, and they played a great defensive game themselves. I thought we handled that pressure very well for three quarters. And even you look at the stat sheet, we ended up with 30 assists and 15 turnovers. That's a really good ratio. And for most of the game, we were able to take advantage of that pressure on Steph, that attention they were paying to him. But the fourth quarter, they really turned it up and took us out of rhythm, and we weren't able to get much. But I give a lot of credit to Kyle Lowry and Van Vliet and Siakam. I mean, this is a championship bunch. So what happened in the fourth didn't surprise me. Lowry changed the game with his ability to get to the line, which he's been doing for years, and their defense really kicked in. So they played a hell of a fourth, and they obviously were an in and out shot away from winning the game.
Hi, Steve. Carlos Ramirez, NBC Bay Area and Telemundo. What do you think was the biggest issue you guys faced against their full court press?
Well, mainly them, mainly Toronto. They've done this. I've seen them come back so many times with their pressure. They're extremely athletic, and they're very strong. Lowry and Van Vliet don't have a lot of height, but they have tremendous strength. And when you throw Anunoby Siakam out there as well. You know, Chris Boucher was fantastic tonight. I think he had 6 blocks. That's as athletic and tough and physical a team as you're going to see down the stretch of a game. So it was more about them and their pressure. But with that said, you know, we've got to watch the tape and improve our execution next time we're in that spot.
You mentioned the defense. I know how proud you are of the way the guys are coming together. But what does it do confidence-wise for the group when you can show them the box score and Steph does go 2 for 16 and you still can find a way to win?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we have enough talent, enough weapons to overcome a bad shooting performance. So I don't even know that I need to say anything. It's, you know, if it happens, you know, these guys all look at the box score. They know what's going on. And they know by this time that the key to our team is our defense. And we were very good defensively tonight again. So we're absolutely heading in a good direction.
Did you think you could overcome a Steph game like this prior to the season? If he got this cold, did you think it was possible? Well,
you guys heard me. I mean, the first day of training camp, I talked about our defense and that we have to be a defensive-minded team. And that was the point, you know, that this is not, you know, the team from 3 years ago with you know, KD and Clay and, you know, all these different offensive weapons. This is a more traditional NBA team, you know, with a couple of great scorers. But, you know, we have to be able to rely on our defense. We're not a historic offensive team like we were a few years ago. So it's got to be about the defense, and the guys are they're responding to that message.
Steve, Connor Letourneau, San Francisco Chronicle. Can you kind of take us through that final timeout when you were drawing up that play? What reads were you looking at? What were the options there?
Well, there was a lot going on in the timeout, Connor, because Toronto challenged or I guess they were looking at the out-of-bounds call when we were awarded the ball with 7 seconds left. So we were discussing, you know, what was happening. And then on the play, you know, we got a million plays, and we just wanted to try to get Steph free. And obviously D. Lee is a guy who just hit a game-winning shot a couple weeks ago in Chicago, and we're going to have him on the floor all the time in crunch time because we know what he can do. And he just made a great play. They doubled Steph, and Steph found him, and Dame not only drew the foul but stepped up and knocked down 2 of them. And it was especially impressive because after the challenge, they changed the call from 3 free throws to 2, so there was much more pressure on Dame, and both of those things were automatic.
Steve, what have you learned about Andrew these past few weeks?
Well, I don't know that I've learned anything more than what I learned at the end of last season, honestly, Monty, because he played really well for us in those 12 games, and we knew what we were getting. We were getting a guy who could score and a guy who was super long and athletic, and there's a premium to pay for guys like that in this league, and there's a reason for it. You saw a bunch of them out there on their team tonight. You know, you've got to have that athleticism and length, and he's using it and doing a great job at both ends.
Anthony Flores with the NBC Bay Area. You guys are 6-4. Is this where you hope or expect that you'd be after the first 10 games?
Well, I knew on opening night that we weren't ready to start the season. You know, we felt that, given with, you know, James and Draymond missing the entirety of training camp and us being a brand new team together. So if you had told me when we walked onto the floor in Brooklyn that we'd be 6-4 after 10 games, I would have raised my hand and taken it for sure.
Are you seeing a competitive nature in Andrew that maybe is at odds with the reputation he's had?
I just think Andrew's in a different set of circumstances right now. He was in a pretty tough spot, you know, to be the number 1 pick and to be anointed a franchise savior There's not many players in this league capable of turning a situation like that around. So he's now in a situation where he's got other great players around him. We're not asking him to change our franchise. We're asking him to play defense and run the floor and get buckets, and he's capable of doing all of that.
Hey, Coach, Kylan with Cron 4. I know that defense is your guys' benchmark, but I think it's kind of unique on offense when you see just how evenly distributed the scoring is on a night like tonight with 7 guys in double figures. We've talked about how many assists, you guys seem to have game after game. What does that say about your team on offense and the style of team basketball you're playing, especially a night when, Steph goes down, the other guys step up?
I think it speaks to the bench and how well they're playing. Kent Bazemore, I didn't play him, 2 of the first 3 games and got him back into the rotation after we came back from that trip. And he's been fantastic. Eric Paschal has really given us that scoring punch. I thought Brad Wanamaker was really, really good tonight. And, Damian Lee has now, basically won 2 games for us out of the first 10 with, 2 big free throws tonight and a game winner in Chicago. So I'm really, really happy with the defense and with the second unit. And those were the two things we were really trying to lock in on at the beginning of camp.
Steve, this possession was great by Andrew on Pascal. He changed stance 3 times. Contested with the left arm, which was the right one. What do you get from Andrew on defense that you would also get from Clay? What makes Andrew such a great defender and similar to Clay at some point?
Well, length and strength. You got to, if you're going to play the wing, you got to be able to guard the best players out on the perimeter. You got to be able to switch and guard strength down on the block. You saw Andrew guarding Siakam occasionally tonight and keeping him off the block. So that combination of strength and length and ability to guard multiple guys is huge.
Hello, Coach. I would like to ask you, win like this, what it means about your defensive identity as a team, and how big push you get about your defense?
Yeah, it's getting better every game, and the last two games we've managed to avoid fouling, although the fourth quarter they got to the line quite a bit. But, these last couple of games have been better defensively than before. We were giving up too many offensive rebounds and free throws. In the last 2 games, we've improved in that spot.
Do the shot clock violations in particular show a patience on the defensive end for guys to keep doing it for 2 shot clock violations in the second half that you guys got?
Yeah, I mean that's the name of the game, Janie. You got to defend for 24 seconds. You got to challenge shots. You got to cover the lane. It's never been harder to be a defensive player and a defensive team in the NBA than right now because of all the 3-point shooting, and you got to play out the whole clock. So our guys really expended a lot of energy, and they're getting the day off tomorrow. I think they're all tired, and they deserve a day. So we'll regroup on Tuesday.